where we're rolling the dough, simmering slow, stirring it up with a cup of love. Where there's sugar and spice, there's an apple pie in Sammy's cottage kitchen.
Hi, and welcome to Sammy's Cottage Kitchen. Today, we're going to do something really unique. I'm going to recreate a recipe from my childhood. It has a story, of course. I mean, you might notice, first of all, that I brought out the big guns here. That doesn't mean you have to have a machine like this to bake the cake. You just need the recipe and to watch what I'm going to show you. But I need to tell you a little story behind it. When I was born 6 weeks too early because I couldn't wait to get into this world, as I was told. But I was born in a pickup truck in a snowstorm in the middle of Saskatchewan, somewhere between Nacum and Humboldt. I was trying, or my mom and dad were trying to get me to the hospital because I think I said that I was 6 weeks too early. And we didn't make it because we got stuck in the snowstorm. And the only thing I know is the story that Uncle Jim tells. And my Uncle Jim was about 17, and he was there with the team of horses pulling the truck out because what had happened, it was the middle of April. I guess it was an early thaw, and then it stormed, and there was water underneath. I don't know. Anyway, apparently it was a mess. And so was my mom, and so was I. So Dad delivered me, and that wasn't good enough, really, because I was apparently as blue as my blouse, according to the stories. And we were really close to a wonderful Austrian couple that lived on a farm out there. And if it wasn't for Tony Freiling, I wouldn't be here telling this story, because she took me, and I think the first thing I got fed was chamomile tea, of all things, because my mom's milk wasn't there. She was in shock. But she saved the both of us. Long story short, to do with the recipe, she used to make this kuchen. She's Austrian, and I have an Austrian friend who makes the best kuchens. Her name's Margaret. I'm still trying to talk her into being a guest on the show, and it will happen because I'm pretty convincing. What can I say? But what I'm going to do today is recreate this recipe from my mind. As of the age of 4 years old, I started going to their place and spending a whole week there because they laid a little bit of a claim on me. So it was wonderful. So what she did was she had berries, the berries of the season. As you'll see here, I've got blueberries mixed with Saskatoon berries and raspberries. My good fortune is I have a beautiful garden. The thing is, she didn't use one particular berry. It was always different ones. And then I can't remember, or I didn't know, I was too young for the cake recipe, but I have a great cake recipe from my grandma, who would be from the same era. And it's called hot milk cake. So I'm using that with the berries and the crumble that she had me make all the time. So that's the little story, and I'll tell you more as we go. But right now, I'm going to preheat the oven. First of all, it has to be preheated to 350 because this cake doesn't take me that long to put together. I don't need a recipe because I've done it for so long. So I'm going to start with the cake. See, I've got 3 eggs here. And like I said, I brought out the big guns because I have it, because I did catering for years. Before I had this machine, I had to cater for 2 years before I could say, okay, you know, I want to have one of those machines. Before that, I had something I got at a garage sale. I think it cost me $5. I was on my way home from doing a catering on a Sunday, and there was this wonderful garage sale, and I got 2 big machines there, and I think it cost me $10. It was awesome. You might notice I'm putting 3 eggs in here, and I always crack them separately. I got these wonderful farm eggs from my friend Evelyn, who just lives down the road. Now what I do, don't be intimidated by a machine like this, because this is what I used for the longest time, and I still do. Just a nice handheld mixer. It's just, I just wanted to show off a little bit. So I'm going to put this on here because it's a shield. It's child safety for one thing. You just lift it up first of all. First I gotta be smarter than the machine. And then you whisk up those eggs. Now I've got 3 tablespoons of butter and I've got 3/4 cup of milk, and I'm going to heat those up in the microwave. No sense talking, nobody can hear me right now. I'm going to turn the eggs down to half. I put the milk in for about 30 seconds just to warm it up. Very important. That's one of the reasons the cake is so special. "20 seconds on the butter, and I'm going to get those together because they need to sit. They don't want to be hot. They need to be warm. So now that the eggs are whipped up, this is what you call, there's a difference. There's a butter type cake and there's a sponge cake, and this one is a sponge. Oh, butter's ready. I'll get that first. Or we'll just keep on beeping. Sound like we're going to self-destruct. So I'm just going to put this together. And then let that sit until I'm ready for it. So this is nice and frothy. It's hard to see inside and I can't tip the bowl, but it's nice and frothy. I'll show you after I put the sugar in. I have to do the sugar very gradual like that. Let's get up again and a little bit hotter. Makes me shut up when I'm making this much noise. Hard thing to do. I'm going to take the shield off for now because I'm not a child and I can definitely do this without the shields. But I'm going to keep on adding the sugar. Little at a time. A little at a time like that. Trying to put it in so that my good cameraman over here can get the picture. Right, Cole? Now I'm going to keep on whisking that. Has to be really nice and frothy. After all this, when I put in the flour mixture with the baking powder and the milk, you just barely beat it. I'm going to turn it down now, and I'm going to get the flour together. I need, that was a cup and a half of white sugar, by the way, and you need a cup and a half of just all-purpose flour. I like using these because they're perfect measurements. It's an easy recipe to remember because it's 3 eggs. It's a cup and a half of flour, it's a cup and a half of sugar, it's a teaspoon and a half of baking powder. I'll turn it right down now. But you want to make sure your sugar is incorporated and it's nice and frothy. I'm just going to shut it off for a minute so that I can show you what it's looking like, right? You see that? Now I'm going to put it back on. There's not too great a difficulty. Clicks right in again and turn it on low. And I'm going to measure out the baking powder to put in there. Meanwhile, the oven is heating beautifully. Everything's going to be timed right on. Baking is fun. It's science. Now you need another half of a teaspoon of baking powder in there. If I was using sour milk or buttermilk, which was used often, you would have to use soda. And that's the science between the difference between using sweet milk or a sour milk. You need either have you have soda when you're using a sour milk, and you have baking powder when you're using sweet. Okay, vanilla. I was in Mexico with my sister and my husband and her husband, and we got some good Mexican vanilla. It's wonderful. But you can use good old vanilla from the store. Every vanilla works. Now, while that's beating up a little bit there, I'm just going to throw the berries into the pan. I have 2 cups of blueberries and Saskatoon berries. Jack picked these this morning. Some raspberries. Because I need to put a little bit of brown sugar on there. Mix that in there a little bit because I need a little bit of sweet. After all, it is a decadent dessert. It's berry season, and when it's berry season, I love making stuff with berries. Look at the raspberries. Raspberries can overpower the blueberries, so I try not to put as many raspberries in there. Okay, shut this off for a minute so I'm not competing. And I just want to get the brown sugar happening. I always use brown sugar because there's a better flavor. I don't know if it's better for you. That's kind of controversial. So just sprinkle the brown sugar very nicely. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this one. Ooh. And it's so funny when you're doing a neat old recipe like this. I don't know if any of you have that, but a certain smell, a certain taste can bring you right back to your childhood. That's what this one did to me. I took the first bite and it just brought me right back to the farm with Mr. and Mrs. Freiling. Okay, now, just going to finish the batter because that's ready to go. Turn it on low, and you're going to incorporate the flour and the milk and butter together. So you're going to do a little bit of each. You know, you just sort of put it in together like that. Because you don't want to beat this for too long. If you do, it's going to get tough. Well, there goes the baking powder and the flour. And the rest of the milk. Just going to bring it up to speed really fast. And voila, it's finished. You don't need to do it any more than that. I think I put my spoon over here and I just need to mix in the brown sugar. See, there's some juices in there. I purposely used a little bit of frozen blueberries because I wanted some juice on the bottom of the pan. But don't put the cake on there when the berries are frozen because then it'll take too long for the cake to bake. Okay, you're going to see now that this is done. I'm going to take the beater off. Just do that so you don't lose any of the batter. And you just scrape it around like that. See, it's nice. It's a nice batter. Very simple. Now I'm just going to pour it on top, just like that. And then I'm going to get it in the oven because it's going to need to cook for about 35 minutes. And then I have to make the special crumble that goes on top, and it has to cook a little longer then. It's quite tricky putting the crumble on top because you don't want the cake to fall down. See, how about that for timing? Oh, perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to set the timer on because I don't want to burn the cake. That would be really bad. Okay, I don't know how much timing. 30, because I need to put that on. What I do with this is a nice mechanism. You just pull it like that, and it goes down. Pretty awesome. Oh, well, I lied. I put something in the way, the cord. it helps if you don't put things in the way. So I'm just going to put some things out of the way, and I'll put the bowl back in there later. Then this just closes up behind me, so it's kind of cool. Wipe off my island. Okay, so now I need brown sugar again, and I'm going to need about half a cup of that, for sure. A good, healthy half a cup. And I'm going to need a third of a cup of flour. Put that in there. On some cinnamon. Nice topping. I bet you can feel that one coming together. Everything's so much better with cinnamon. I've got a little bit of baking powder in there. I'm going to put about 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, if you don't like cinnamon, you just don't put cinnamon in it. If you want to add nuts, that's another nice thing. You can make what you want, but I'm making it the old-fashioned way because in those days, people didn't have a lot to spare. So that's what they did. Now I need the butter. I need to have, I'll put it in pieces, and I'm going to be working this in with my fingers. And it's just as simple as that. It's brown sugar, cinnamon, flour, and butter. People always add butter because if you were on the farm, you raised cows. You milked cows and you separated your milk. You made your own cream, your own ice cream, your own milk. Cheese, cottage cheese, I remember that too. In fact, that was one of the things that I made when I was at their place. You know, it's wonderful to think of the longevity of that wonderful couple. That was Tony and Martin Freiling. He lived to be 99 and a half. I was in Europe a lot in those years, but I remember coming home in the summertime and going to see them, and I was so glad I did because that winter he passed away. It was so great to see him, and he had this wonderful character about him. He had the whitest hair and the blackest, thickest eyebrows, and as a child, at first it freaked me out. But I got over it because he was just the most kind-hearted guy. And Tony, she lived to be 96 and in her own home. And I also was home that summer and saw her. So yeah, a lot of wonderful memories going into this cake. But you see what's happening here though? This is nice, crumbly mixture, and it's going to be going on the top of that cake. But it has to go on very strategically. And it's not going to be going on just yet, so I'm going to set it to the side. Wash my hands. And I was going to tell a story about, well, music. Of course, you know, everything I do seems to have some music in it. And when I was in Europe, we were organizing a tour, a musical tour. Oh, I can't get this off my hands, I swear. And everything was going wrong, and I said to my husband, was it because I was born in a pickup truck that everything's gone so crazy? And then he says, he started playing a bluesy riff, and I said, I was born in a storm, and I had a wisp in my hand. I was born in a storm in a pick-me-up truck. And just like that, we made a song, and it was finished in 15 minutes. And at this moment, while I'm cleaning things up, I'm going to play the song because you see, when you're having a decadent dessert like that, you need to have a healthy meal. So I'm going to create some salads for you all to get a good idea. You can have a wonderful salads, and it can be a full meal salad. And then for dessert, you can have your cake and you don't have to feel bad about it. So that's how I talk myself into it. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can find that song and play it for you for a minute. That's it. And actually, that's kind of the way I am. I like having my music on and playing and singing and doing what I do. I was born in a storm in a pick-me-up truck on a Sunday morning, a child of luck. Apple of my mama's eye, so happy that I survived disappointment to my dad, cause I wasn't a song. I was a second boy. yourself being a
17.
goofball.
Had a rusty old pickup, my guitar, and my favorite faded blue jeans. A little too young to be on my own, destined from birth to be a rolling stone. Came to the roll of the wheels under my bones. Just a rolling along, a rock and roll, rambling road. Ain't gathered no miles, no, not this little rolling stone. Confused, but that's the way it goes. I get the blues and shades of indigo, the mint of a rock and rambling road. When I was born in the storm, in that old pickup truck, the radio was on, just my luck. Pounded a beat into my soul, I was fighting for my life on that old dirt road, lament of a rock and rambling road.
We're never gonna get forward about you.
Rock and roll, rambling road. Ain't gathered no miles, no, not this little rolling stone. Confused, but that's the way it goes. I get the blues and shades of indigo, the mint of a rock and rambling road. I'm just a country girl with some rockin' in my bones. When I get the blues, I got my blue jeans on. Yeah, you know, everybody's got their story to tell, but this here is my story. Well, at least I've got me an excuse. What's yours?
Yeah, that's true. I have an excuse for the way I am. Thanks for listening to my song and watching me and my silly shenanigans. But you know, like I said, when you're cooking, if you're not having fun, just go and get a pizza because you really should just enjoy what you're doing. Anyway, back to cooking. I said if you are going to be having these decadent desserts, you've got to have something healthy to eat. I'm going to start with a spinach salad. I think a spinach salad is a really good idea. I'm going to use this beautiful bowl. And I've got to get into the fridge for a minute and grab my huge bowl. I'm going to take away some of the sugars and things here. I'm going to need some, what do I need? This is a wonderful, it's called Black Heat Hot Spice Balsamic Vinegar because I'm going to make my own vinaigrette. And I got some fig vinaigrette, not vinaigrette, what am I saying? Balsamic, you need that. I like using avocado oil to cook, but I like using olive oil for my salad dressings. So I'm going to just have to grab a bowl. I did not take a bowl out of here. I'm going to go over here. And I like you to see it, so I'm going to grab a fairly large dish so that you can see me whisking it up. Right now, I've got, first of all, some wonderful baby spinach. I have a great garden going on outside. I'm really enjoying using it. Now, the first thing you're going to do with the spinach is you're going to see when there's like a hard piece on there, you're going to rip that off. You don't want that in your salad. So you just throw them in here, kind of like that, nice greens. I'm going to make a raspberry vinaigrette because also I got wonderful raspberries growing on. So we're going to have some fruit in here. We're going to have a little bit of nuts. It'll be delicious. You don't put the dressing on until you're ready to serve it. But you pull off all these little hard stems. It's important. And even if there's a hard vein in the back like that, you can pull it so that it comes right off. See, that one wasn't, so you don't have to worry about it. This is a nice tender spinach. But if you do have anything that's a hard vein in it, you pull it off. this all looks pretty good. I'm just going to throw it in here, I think, and just pull out the odd one. Ah, I can smell that cake cooking. I love summertime. There's a lot of barbecuing. There's a lot of nice greens available, fruits. I think it's pear season as well. Apples aren't quite there. I've got lots of apples, but it's not quite time for them. Now you get quite a nice fluffy bunch here of spinach, but you're going to want a good serving of it because it's good for you. And here's how you make food that's good for you taste good. Convincing my grandchildren of that has been a very interesting happening. But I have to say, they eat everything, they try everything. If they don't like it, I tell them, don't worry about it, you'll acquire a taste in the long run. Now that microphone that I was using before there, my whisk, I'm going to need it actually as a whisk. Just going to put the light on here. So the peak, oh yeah, it's happening. I'm going to get rid of my spinach stems. Spinach. Oh, by the way, I had washed all that spinach already. It's a good, even when they come in cello packs, if you're buying them in the grocery store, or whether you're getting it from your garden, you know, you got, if you wash them and spin them and do what you do, and put them in the fridge, they crisp up beautifully. So that's a nice thing to do. Now, I've got raspberries, fresh picked raspberries. Look at this. I have to say I sent Jack on that duty this morning, my good man. He said, I get to eat the food, so I don't mind pitching in. I'm going to need some garlic. Everything's better with butter and garlic. No butter in this one, but a little bit of garlic. It's always nice. I'm growing that too. Haven't harvested it yet though. This is what the dressing's about. So I'm going to put the raspberries in later. Just did a nice little wash on them. And you don't want to wash them too far ahead of time because they get very watery. And that won't be nice. So the first thing I do is I peel up a garlic. And another trick that most people don't know about is to cut the garlic in half, the toe. I shouldn't say most people don't know about it, but some people don't. See, there's a little heart in here. That has to come out. It's bitter. And it can ruin your dish. Just take it out. Like that. I've met a lot of people who just say, I don't like salad. I don't want salad. But it's only because they don't know what a good salad tastes like. So I put it in a good old-fashioned garlic smasher. You can cut it up fine too, but in this case I like it to be really, really squashed in there to get the flavor, the best flavor, and the most of the garlic out of it. You don't want to put the rough pieces in, so I just re-squash it. And I'll put this to the side. Now, you're going to want to start, oh yeah, I've got raspberry juice here too. I had the best way to get raspberry juice, a lot of people don't realize that, is to have frozen raspberries, and then from the frozen raspberries, that's where you're going to get the juice. It's a very important flavor. If you just use balsamics, it's going to be too tart. So I'm going to start with this. It's called Black Heat. It's a hot spice balsamic. Never heard of that one before, but it's awesome. You can get these anywhere. Most of the local grocery stores, you can go to specialties, you know, delis if you want. I think I put about 2 tablespoons of that in there. Then I got a fig balsamic, which is a little sweeter. You just dribble a little of that in there. And the raspberry juice. That's about 3 tablespoons. I'm probably making more than I need, but I made some the other day, you see, and I've got a little container here that I just keep it in because it keeps beautifully in the fridge. Now to this. I'm going to add some pepper. And in this case, I do add a little bit of salt. I don't want to put too much pepper because this one here has some heat in it already. Yeah, that one's got heat. Just gotta walk over here and get, I always use sea salt or Himalayan pink salt. There is a difference. Don't let people tell you there isn't, because there is. There's you need a certain amount of salt in your body, and if you're going to have salt, you use that kind of salt, healthy salt. Okay. So now I've got the olive oil, and this one comes with a spout, which is really awesome because I'm going to want to drizzle it like this. Put this to the side. Very slowly because you want to emulsify. It's very important. This is a very good olive oil. It's extra virgin olive oil. And you're going to want to use that kind of olive oil. You don't want to get the cheapest form because that one is usually a blended oil and it's not going to do what you need in a salad. It's got a wonderful flavor. If you're not sure, you just take a little bit like this on your finger. Delicious. One of these days on one of my shows, I'll be doing some dips, some bread dips. I'll bake some bread, and then we'll do some olive oil and herb and, you know, garlic, different kind of dips. It'll be wonderful. Now you're going to need, I would say, about 4 tablespoons. Now, you'll see it as you're blending because I'm making a fair batch because I want to be able to put it in there. Getting a nice dressing going on here. And it's starting to emulsify. I'm just going to stop for a minute so I can tilt this. You see how it mixes together beautifully? You're going to want to mix it up a little bit more now. And because I have this one made already, I'm just going to add it back in because then I can just blend it all together and put it back in there. It's a wonderful way to serve it. Don't want to waste anything. Nice. Now, while that's sitting, I'm going to grab some. I love these little setup here of all my things. I've got almonds, I've got pistachios and pine nuts and pecans and walnuts and all the things handy for when you want to do things. Now, this is an important touch to the salad. I just need to get a nice pan out of here. I got a nice little rock pan. I'm going to put it on the heat, just on the inside burner. You don't even need the fan for this. And you can't walk away from this. You're going to want to put some almonds in here because they don't taste like anything the way they are. It sounds funny. They're a raw almond, which is a great way to get your almonds. But if you don't toast them, they have no flavor. So now is the time when I can put some raspberries on top of this. And you can be liberal. You know, use a good amount of raspberries. And put them in a pretty bowl so that it feels good when you're going to be serving it. Like that. Oh, I must have run out of stories to tell because I'm telling everything else. Now, this salad I learned when I was in Italy. I wasn't in Italy, what am I saying? I was in Europe. I wanted to go to Italy. I was in Switzerland. And we had some of the best foods when we were there. We were right on the border of Italy. Because Switzerland borders on France, am I right? And yeah, it does. It borders on France, it borders on Italy, and it borders on Austria? I think so. So it's an amazing culture. Some of the best foods there. I'm going to take a little bit more oil. It's a different kind of oil that I've got here, and it's infused with raspberry. And I'm just going to put that in there. It has a little extra sweetness to it, because you don't want this salad to be too tart. Awesome. I'm going to pour it back into the pitcher because that's how I'm going to be serving it on the salads. And then when I'm not using the whole amount of the thing is, people often like to have, one person will like just a little bit of salad dressing, and the next person might like a lot. So I'm just going to set this over to the side here. And once I have the almonds ready to go, I'll show you how we finish it. Don't want to leave those too long. So I'm going to put about 3 inches of water in here. And I'm going to talk to you about eggs. I'm going to get that on the heat because you need that to come to heat. Oh, I can start smelling them now. They're just starting to come. You can just get a nice little toast on there pretty soon. I'm going to get the eggs out of the fridge for a minute. And I'm going to tell you something about the eggs, which is interesting. Just need a couple. Did you know that when you're boiling eggs, it all really depends on where you are? When you are in a high altitude, it takes way longer to boil an egg. If you want to make yourself a medium hard egg, it's 10 to 11 minutes of boiling. Well, bring it to boil and then you turn it down to simmer. If you are in Holland, which is where I was, it takes 5 minutes to boil an egg because that's below sea level. If you're here in Saskatchewan, where we're sort of normal, I said sort of, we're here, it takes approximately 6.5 minutes for a medium to hard boiled egg. So I just wanted people to know that. Now I've got this nice fancy dancy little thing here too that's awesome. It pokes, and you can get them everywhere, any kitchen store. You take the fat end of the egg here like this, and you poke it. So it pokes right in. Oh, and I smell my almonds. See? Don't leave the almonds, that's for sure. But they're good. I'm going to take them to the side and get them out of in a dish right away. Because you don't want them to continue cooking. That's important. Now I'm just going to put a couple more almonds in there because I want some that are a little light and some that are a little bit dark. It's important that you have both. And the pan is turned off, but it's warm enough for that. I can smell them. They smell wonderful. Okay, back to the eggs. I've got the water on. So I poked this one already, and now you're going to poke this one. And you want the water to be a little bit warmed up, not hot. And you just put them in there. And as soon as they come to boil, I'll turn them down, and in 6 minutes, they'll be done. And I'll be able to use them for the next salad that I'm planning on. See how quickly they toast even on a pan that is shut off. Okay, now I got to get in the fridge for a minute because I'm going to make another salad that I learned about when I was in Europe. But nowadays, everything works here because we call this fusion cooking, where you learn something from the States, you learn something from Europe. That's what we have here is everybody comes, and as long, what is Canada made up of? Look at this. Perfect. Nice toast. We're made up of every culture there is. And everybody came with their recipes to show us, you know, everything that they have got for cooking. Canadian recipes, well, I think I made one when I did the barbecue show. And that was cedar plank salmon. That's one of the Canadian recipes because it comes from our First Nations people. Right now you're going to see what I'm doing. I've got Belgium endive here. They call it chicory, I think, as well. And you take off these outside leaves. I made, on one of my other shows, I made a kaleidoscope salad. I remember that. There you go. These are perfect. You see them? The other ones were a little bit dark for my taste, really. But I will still use them. So now I'm going to put those and sprinkle them over the top here. Now, except for that dressing, and I'm going to just grab a few of these too, because you want to have them. You want to have a few of those that are a little darker and a few that are a little lighter, and it's going to just finish that salad like you don't believe. I'm going to set it to the side. And I'm going to put this pan just on the back here. The eggs, I think, are coming to a boil. Yep. Just getting my salad, my endive ready, because this is bought, obviously, because that's not a thing I can grow here. But it makes an amazing salad. That's one of the reasons I've got the eggs boiling. It's a very simple and fun salad. But there's some bad leaves I'm not happy about. Well, that's what you do. You just get rid of them. And I have to just move my island because I got to grab a bowl. I've gone into hiding, into my wonderful pantry. I love it. That was built before the rest of the kitchen. And had I not had that, I couldn't do anything, that's for sure. Cutting board. This used to be the bathroom. We bought this house, it was 480 square feet. I'm back. And there was a tiny little sink and a tiny little bathroom and a tiny little bathtub and a toilet. But we said, hey, we know what to do. We can fix this up, and that's exactly what we did. So now what you're going to do with this, I need a knife over here. Cut them in half, like this. Going to need the lemon juice. I've got lemons here. Because if you don't put lemon juice on this salad, they'll go brown. This can also, I'm going to turn down the eggs. I should say that before I go running over there. And I'm just going to turn it down here, and I'm going to watch my time. I'm going to keep an eye on the cake, because I might have to start putting the icing on. Just going to cut the core out of here, because it's tough and it's bitter. I'm going to get my little trusty little strainer, because I don't want the seeds. So what you do is you just take your, like this. So I learned this recipe in Holland from all the good people there, because it's a very common vegetable for them. Now what you're going to do with this, I want it to be very fine. You cut it really, really, really fine like this. And in that lemon juice, I'm going to put a little bit of Dijon mustard. I'm going to watch your fingers again. You always watch how you're cutting. Kind of like that. Against your knuckle. Always against the knuckle, not against the fingers like that. Against the knuckle. And if you get the little end pieces and you don't like them, you just don't use them. I like my other knife a little better. Switch knives because it's going to make a finer cut. I'm going to get this into the lemon juice though right away. Seems like nothing, doesn't it? Oh, that'll be my timer. I just have to check the cake because I have to see about the icing. Off. No, we're not self-destructing just yet. It needs another 10 minutes. So I'm going to put it on for that. 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm watching the eggs. And I'm going to cut another one of these. Got a little bit of Dijon mustard over here. Would help if you took off the, oh yeah, kind of help if you took off the seal. Not going to squish through there too easy. You can also use a dry mustard, but I don't have dry mustard right now, so I'm just going to use some of this. I was squeezing it, so now it wants to come out liberally, of course. No problem. Let's tear that off. Because I'm going to need to whisk that in anyway. A little bit of mustard flavor is going to make a big difference in the dressing, because really it's just going to be a little bit of a dressing of olive oil. Not much. Did you never notice that Mediterranean people live to be a good ripe old age? It's because they eat healthy, way healthier than us. A lot of fish. They eat meat too. I think there's a lot of lamb. But they eat everything with olive oil and olives and vegetables, mega vegetables. I think one of the reasons I really want to go to Italy is there's so many wonderful vegetables. And my sister went, and we were planning on it, but I think we just got to wait for a year because I want to get a few other things done around here. We're still finishing building a few things. We keep saying, okay, this year we're done, but we're not done. But every year it looks so much nicer that you don't want to complain. So I'm just going to mix this up a little bit because you want to get that going together with the mustard. And I've got a little bit of mayonnaise that I'm going to put on top of the eggs. You see, it's just a nice, fresh, really fresh, lemony, a little bit of mustard. I'm going to be putting on also, and you can mix it right in the bowl. Like I said, I could make this in a different bowl and put it in there and be a little neater, but that's not what we all do. We try to keep it simple for ourselves, right? So I use a paper toweling. Kitchen towel, they call it. I use kitchen towel, if I can get it unraveled. And always clean up the side of the dish like that. Now this is probably enough to serve 2. I'm just going to do the 2, I think. And you just kind of squash it out like that. You can add all kinds of things to it. In fact, I'm going to. I want to put a little bit of, I love my herb garden back here. I like putting a little cilantro in it. So I'm going to grab some cilantro because that makes a nice flavor. Just chop it up. Put that with it. Like that. It's beautiful. A little bit of, again, a little bit of salt. A little bit of cracked pepper. And I'm going to peel up some eggs because I'm going to be slicing the eggs on top there. But before I do that, I've got to get into my cake and get started with the icing, the topping on it. I'll explain why. I'm going to need the camera to follow me in the oven here for a minute. Pull it out. See, it's still really not cooked, right? But that's okay because this needs to bake with it. So I've got to take the crumbs and put them all around the edges first. Or if I put it in the middle, it'll all fall down. And that wouldn't be cool. I guess I'd eat it anyway. My dad loved it when it was just squashed. So I'm not putting it in the middle just yet. That'll be put on after. Get back in there and let it bake some more. Okay, so eggs, I got to get the eggs peeled. And again, I like using kitchen paper for that. It's just less messy. And you can take the kitchen paper and put it into the compost with like all these butt ends and everything, and you're not losing anything. This is the finishing part, so it becomes a whole meal, I guess is what I'm saying. And the eggs are on their last minute too. I should have explained that. I pre-did some eggs because I knew I wasn't going to have time to let these cool down. But what you do now, so that they peel properly, is you strain these out of the hot water and you put it on, put cold water, quite a bit. So that what happens is the shell contracts away from the egg and then you can actually peel it more. If you leave them really, really, really warm, they don't want to come off clean. The other trick I was talking about boiling eggs is to not boil fresh eggs. They should be, when I say fresh, you don't want old, a week and a half old, because if you have them too fresh, they won't peel. See this? It's peeling quite nicely. So I just peel it away like that. So when you have a nice fresh meal like this, a fresh salad like this with eggs halved on top, it's a meal. It's your protein, it's your vegetables, and then you still got room for that decadent dessert. I'm really trying to talk myself and you into being able to eat the dessert without any problems. Now, you don't want any shell on, so I always rinse them off. And I'm going to take a really sharp knife over here. I like this one because it's extremely sharp and it's got a really, watch out for your fingers is all I always tell people. So what you're going to do with these eggs is you're going to cut it in half like this. Nice clean cut. You see, it's a soft to medium boiled egg, and that's what you want on this, depending on your taste, of course. So I'm going to place them on like that. It's up to you how many. If you feel like an egg and a half, or 2 eggs, or 1 egg, or whatever. And then I finish it off with something too. It's kind of nice. While I'm doing this job, I talked about my dad, I talked about being born in the pickup truck and everything. I'm going to suggest that you all take a listen to a song that I wrote when I lost my father. I know, natural run of things. He lived to be, 86, which was good. And one day I was just walking on the path in Okotoks where I lived at the time, and I said, oh, I got to call Mom and Dad. And then I came to the quick realization that Oh, wait, I have to call Mom, because your whole life you've said Mom and Dad. So I wrote this song, and it's called I Miss Him, because it wasn't a sad thing, it was melancholy. I just missed talking to him. And I wrote the song in about 20 minutes on my way home. And it was on the Winds, it's on the Winds of Change album, this album. And we recorded that just before we left Okotoks to come here to Langenburg. So while I'm doing this, I'm just going to let you all listen to the song.
He brought me into this world with his
It's good to have good memories.
He worked his whole life with those same hands.
And even for people who don't have the best memories of things in the past,
I've never seen and I'll never see again.
remember the good stuff.
Oh, I miss him. Oh, how I love that man. I know the man upstairs has a master plan and he's with it. Lord knows he's earned that. I know he's watching me out of the corner of his eye.
I put some mayonnaise in here because I want to make it pretty. That's kind of part of the dressing. This is a little bit of paprika.
He left a legacy
I missed one.
in how he raised us with leather hands and a velvet touch. He'd say, remember you owe the world a living. So go out and give all you got to be given and don't ever look back. No.
I'm just going to set this to the side with this one.
The man upstairs has a master plan and he's with it. Lord
I'm going to finish up the cake.
he's earned that. I know he's watching
Put the rest of the crumbs on
me out
top.
of the corner of his eye. When I drop to my knees to pray or cry, he's listening. But I'm still in a 'cause I miss him. How I love that man, my dad.
I need a toothpick because I have to pick the middle of the cake to kind of help it cook because it's not quite done yet. And I'm going to turn the oven up just a hair. To almost 400 because I want that icing to cook up nicely. Well, as that's cooking and as the salads are ready, I'm just going to show you how you serve the salad in a nice bowl presentation for the raspberry one. And it seems funny, but nice big bowls like this, but it's nice to have big bowls. And I just take a couple big spoons. If you don't have a salad fork or spoon on your hands right at the moment, that's what you do. I'm just going to find a pot holder over here because I'm going to need it. I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to you. I'm trying to get the thing served. You just take out, you want it to look nice on top. So you want all those nuts and fruits to be there. Right? I'm just going to serve the one because I want you to see when I'm drizzling the salad, just how nice that looks. You just drizzle it on the top like that. Voila. And you pick up the lid before you step on it and kick it. And that's pretty much it for today. The cake is going to be ready to come out of the oven in about 10 minutes. And when it's finished, we'll show it to you. So I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me again in Sammy's Cottage Kitchen. I just want you to remember to love the life you live, you know, embrace every moment, enjoy the new recipes, and just keep on keeping on. Life is there to be lived, and that's what I'm trying to do. I live it every day. I'm going to wait for the cake, and I'm hoping to see you real soon again with my next cooking show. I think I'm going to have a little guest on my show next time, and it'll be fun. But I'm just going to go to the oven right now, and I'm going to pick out the kuchen. It's looking mighty fine. Oh yeah, look at that, nicely browned. You want it to be a little bit darker browned like that because it's brown sugar. And of course it has to be served a la mode. So I'm going to quickly take it out and put something on a plate here to show you that, because you're going to want to see the juiciness underneath. And you can just spoon it. You don't have to cut it in squares because that's the old-fashioned way. Look at the juicy fruits underneath and the velvety looking cake. I love it. I'm going to cut another one because I have a feeling we're going to have to taste this. Look at that. See how soft and fluffy the cake is? Just really light and delightful. I'm going to put a little bit more of the berries that are just down there on the plate. And going to have spoons ready. Going to need a little ice cream. Now, years ago, they made their own ice cream, and on one of these shows, I'm going to be making an ice cream. Absolutely. There you go. And there. Okay. I got to try this. I'm going to make everybody jealous right now. First of all, I want to thank you for coming here and hanging out with me at Access and having fun. Have fun with the new recipes and love the life you live and keep on keeping on. Till next time, I'm going to taste this. Till next time,